Welcome back to Creepcast. Welcome, my friends, to 2026. Isaiah, tell us what we're reading today, and I'm going to start the year off very strong. Can I start it off strong?
For them, it's already been 2026. There's been like two or three episodes uploaded before this one.
But this is the first actual recording.
Aren't they getting Marble Hornets 3 before this?
Yes, but that's Creep TV. That's a completely different property that we don't own. So
I think we do own that.
There's
like 2 other recordings we've done before it too. I don't think you know what you're talking about. Anyway,
this is the first one, and I want to start off the year extremely strong, and that's why I want to say I'm gonna throw a curveball out there, and I'm gonna take a risk because that's what good men do. And I'm going to say this is going to be the scariest fucking story that we've ever read. Okay?
Would you describe yourself as a good man?
Well, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Isaiah, it's open to interpretation.
That's telling.
I'll tell you what. Today we're going to be reading a story. And viewers, this is mostly whoever, if you're watching this podcast on YouTube right now or on Spotify or something, please close your eyes for this section. Audio listeners, do what you do best and just listen. We're reading a story today, and I really want you to think about this. It's called Turn It Off. All right? Turn it off. Isaiah, hit him with the author information.
I don't like this.
No. Just
ASMR voice that you're giving.
This is my natural voice. This is just how I talk. So why don't you tell him about the author? Yeah.
So the author is called Polam Chill.
Chill Daddy.
Don't do that. He's only posted this story to the Creepypasta Wiki in 2016, and as far as I can tell, nothing else. And no one, I'm looking for more information about him. Not seeing any. Is this a link to a Twitter?
I fucking love, you know what I love about these kind of authors, dude? These are what I like to call the Babe Ruths. All right. This motherfucker took his bat, he pointed it at center field and hit a home run. And then he's just like, I'm good. You know, this is going to be a fucking scary story. Like, I hope you realize that this is going to startle you. You're going to be afraid.
The one hits are either incredible or abysmal.
Well, my boy, Mr. Chill, fucking dropped this log 10 years ago, and he said,
"Drop this log."
Yeah, he dropped this fucking log in the bowl. You would think, oh, is that a turd in there? And it was absolute fucking gold because that's what he was shitting. Okay. And I'm excited
like that. Okay. Well, anyway, Polam Chill has written this Nothing Else in 2016, but this story seems very highly beloved online. I hear a lot of people talk about it. I see people make fan art for it, which you see out a lot of the recurring characters in stories, but not the one-off. So I'm interested in what all the hype's about, so to speak. I've never read this one before, but I've heard of it before.
As our first recording of 2026, we're back. We're recording now. I want us to do something for we need to make some rules for this year. I think it's a new year. We should have some new rules. And I think one would be at the beginning of the episode, because a lot of these, we're getting into territories now where even Isaiah has not read the stories, right? We have
covered almost multiple stories that I have not read before.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that before it was like, oh, I've read this one or I've heard about it, like blah, blah, blah. I'm saying now you're getting
said I've heard about this one.
Yeah, but you didn't really know much about it. Just fucking let me talk for a second. How does that sound? Can I do that? Can I breathe? I
don't have a choice. I don't have any other choice. Go ahead.
I want us to do a thing where starting right now until the end of the year, we can change. This is a yearly thing. We don't have to do it forever, but we're going to guess what the story is about based off the title alone. And we guess, and whoever's the most right at the end, you get a point. And at the end of the year, we'll tally it up and we'll see who wins. Try to tell me that isn't fun.
Sure, we can do that. Do you want me to keep track of it in here?
No, we'll have the editors and the fans, the editors. We will have ways. We don't have to worry about it. All right. The scores. I don't want to fucking think about it until the end of the year when it's presented to me, because I will forget. But I have to keep this alive. I have to keep these rules alive. And I already have a kind of an idea of what I think this is going to be about, which I think would be scary. But I'm curious to hear, what do you think this is going to be about off of a title called Turn It Off?
Okay, why don't you go first, since this is your game?
I just told you I wanted to hear yours first.
I want to hear yours first. I feel like whatever I say, you're just going to piggyback that.
I'm not going to piggyback off your fucking idea, dude. I presented you this question. What off the hip? What are you thinking this is going to be about?
I think this is going to be about two kids, like teenage age, in the woods, who discover something strange while they're out camping.
You know what I like about your answer is that you did nothing to solidify the mean. Like this turn, they're turning nothing off.
Correct.
In your thing.
They could think that turn it off. Turn it off could be a flashlight or like something they're holding in their hand. They have to turn off so nothing sees them.
Mine, I'm thinking it's going to be more literal. I think that they found, and I don't know if this is real or not, right? This is me shooting a 3. This is me shooting for the first points of the year. I think that they're going to find some mysterious tape, and it's going to be children are going to find mysterious tape, and it's going to be one of the people, if they're not related, it's like one of the parents or whatever, and it's like their dad, like they're someone, not a sexual tape, mind you, right? Because I know you think I'm going there, but I do think it is something where it is like a dad massaging, like, what would be something weird that you can massage that's not sexual? Because it massages.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I'm saying that they're going to find something where the dad is rubbing something down. It's not sexual. So get that out of your brain. Like a ham. Like he's rubbing a ham. And they watch it, and the guy's like, turn it off. That's my
prediction
guess
for this story is that two kids are going to find a video of their dad rubbing a ham.
You try to tell me, and I want you to be completely honest, because I understand that you like to bully me, and that's becoming your
I like
shtick.
To bully you.
Yes,
that's what you think the dynamic of the show is.
That is the dynamic of the show. You put me down, and I have to fucking scrape my knees and get back up.
Yeah, that's what it is.
So. You try to tell me right now that if you're like, oh, let's play this tape. You play the tape. It's your dad, candlelit room. He has a massage table. It's like your dad practicing.
You keep changing.
Like
is he rubbing a ham, or is he like massaging a ham?
It has not changed yet. I'm saying that he's still massaging the ham. I'm giving more details, which would be the dad. It's like, think of like a massage room, candles, some of the, like the music. Remember like an ocean sound? The dad is intensely digging into this ham, like a full Christmas ham on the table. And try to tell me like actually finding that tape. I mean, at first you'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. But if it kept popping up, that would be a little fucking freaky, if I'm being honest. I could be completely wrong, but and I'm not saying it's the most creative. This is just my first thing. So we'll see. And we'll see who's closest. I don't know.
Are you done with your warm up?
The what?
Are you done getting into character and everything?
I'm sorry, Isaiah. Am I disappointing you with my performance of me trying to conversate with you on a podcast?
So before every episode, Hunter's like, "Hey, can you give me a minute here?" And I'm like, "Sure, buddy, whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, I just want to try something out at the beginning. Okay, I've been thinking about a skit for the Chalice episode, and we're gonna see how it goes." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, sure, go ahead." And I regret it every time. I don't know why I let him do it.
Okay, hurtful. I'm just trying to bring a little bit of light into this crazy dark world of internet horror stories. So I apologize. And I won't do it anymore.
There you go.
I won't do it anymore. And you've already, and for our Creepcast listeners, this is mom and dad fighting immediately at the beginning of the year. So congratulations, Isaiah. You're splitting the family apart. Thank you for that.
You know what? You're welcome. I don't care anymore. I can't do this. I can't.
Hey, audio listeners.
Last year for our first story of the year, it was my best friend tried to ruin my life. So what's that tell you?
Thank you for listening on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And for all of our YouTube viewers as well, thank you for sticking with us on the third and possibly final year of this show, depending on how Isaiah wants to keep ruining this friendship of ours. Because I am a beacon of support to him. A lot of people, I see this in the comments too, a lot of people say I'm the kind one. I'm the one who lifts him up, that kind of stuff. And to be met with this constantly is like that of a single, like a single mom.
50 minutes ago, you texted me and said, "Almost ready, Daddy."
All right. Well, Pookie needs to get stuff too sometimes, dude.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
What, man?
Okay.
If you're coming at me and you're airing my dirty laundry, then let's just fucking lay it out as it is.
Between the ham talk and the massage and everything else, you're beating around the bush. Dude, you've been a little steamy already, but there's no need to.
There ain't no beating around the bush. I am in the bush.
Okay.
I am the bush.
Okay. All right. Turn it off by Paul and Chill. Thank you to all of our audio listeners. Thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. We love you guys a lot. Appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving us. Got a lot of cool new projects on the way that we'll be announcing very soon, hopefully. So stay tuned for that. But thank you guys. Is that it? Anything else we need to add, Hunter?
Do you think that this is going to be a scary story? You didn't really. I'm thinking this is going to be a scary one. Do you think this is actually scary?
I think it'll be creepy.
I'm trying to go into this year, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, I am raising the bar of excitement. I am too negative too quickly, and that's my New Year's resolution is I'm going to be more positive, and I'm going to try to enjoy these stories more, and I'm going to get into it. You know what I mean? I'm making that fucking promise right now. It's because I saw the ending of Stranger Things, and it's turned me for the better.
Was it good? Did it end well? I thought everyone hated it.
No, it ended very well.
I feel like there's some sarcasm there, but whatever.
No, man.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Turn it off. I rested my arms behind my head, skim reading the credits of a movie I just watched. After seeing them through about halfway, I lifted myself from the sofa and walked to the kitchen, stretching my arms out above me. I opened the fridge door and found a full carton of juice, so I sat down on the kitchen counter by the window, cracked open the lid, took several long, noisy gulps. When I couldn't drink anymore, I gasped to let in new air and wiped my mouth on the back of my hand.
Jesus.
All right.
God. Okay. First, I'm not going to immediately be negative, but I will say this is some David King energy of who the fuck reads halfway through the movie credits. Can I just say it? Who's like, oh, key grip. Okay, Brian. Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. Who the fuck is doing that? And then also to immediately go to the fridge and slam down Sunny D and be like, because you're drinking so much.
Look,
God.
we're 3 sentences in. You know, maybe.
I know. I'm just saying. It caught me. Sorry. Okay. That's like some little kid energy, though, isn't it?
that is like a 4-year-old thing to do, where they grab drinks and they're like, like while they're drinking, they're afraid they'll never be able to breathe again.
The death has never tasted so good.
All right. My evenings were uneventful around this time in summer. It was 9:15 on a Saturday in July. School was out for the holidays. My parents had gone to visit my aunt and uncle who lived by the coast. They would still be gone for 2 more weeks.
What?
They left a child for like 3 weeks.
Okay, so I think that this is no. I think that this is going to be like a high schooler, and I like how he's like that. My my evenings are uneventful. It's a Saturday during it is a Saturday during summer break, and your parents are not home. I mean, they are saying that this is a fucking loser. Can we at least say that?
I think that's the idea. I think the idea is he doesn't have friends. He's not like partying, hanging out. Yeah.
Turn it off.
I declined the invitation to join them. I didn't dislike the place or my relatives, but we usually stayed there so long that I'd miss out on most of summer break, and I'd truthfully rather spend it with my friends in town. I was a good kid who knew how to wash clothes and use an oven, generally not an idiot, so they let me stay at the house so long as I kept it clean. As I sat, looking out into the garden to check for anything scary in the dark, it was empty and black. I kind of wished we had a pet. A dog or a cat would be nice about now, but their hair always made me sneeze and my eyes go red and itchy. With that in mind, my dad said no, even though I wouldn't mind it. At 9:22 p.m., I put the rest of the juice carton back in the fridge door and went back over to the window. Hoisting myself onto the counter again, I glanced out to the garden and identified the shadows one by one to make sure everything was in its place. Bushes were their usual shape. 2 small trees stood together by the back fence, and a metal table with 4 chairs set casually on the patio.
They have not said how old this person, this child is, right?
Right.
Okay. The hoisting up on the counter did make it seem
it's jumping between 19 or 8.
That's the brilliance of Chills. That's what I love.
If I had to guess, this kid's 13.
I think that's fair. There's a healthy split between the two.
Yeah, I think it's 13.
He's a very short. Are we saying he's
short
like a 13-year-old, like a dwarf?
Yeah. Okay, I don't know about that.
like a 13-year-old dwarf.
Okay. I like to check these things, which is largely why I wasn't scared of the dark. I'd always get up to investigate small noises in the night, and I hated sleeping with my face to the wall. If someone was in my room at night, I'd rather know about it, so at least there was the faintest chance of getting away somehow. This meant that my worries were quickly put to rest as I either found nothing downstairs but the radiator popping with the heat, or opened my eyes to see an empty bedroom. Not knowing what could be making the odd noises coming from the kitchen, or on the stairs, or in my room is what makes my skin creep. At 9:30 p.m., I got down from the counter and wandered back into the living room to turn off the TV. I decided to take the rest of the juice upstairs. Man, he's about this juice.
I was going to say,
3 appearances.
I'm trying so hard not to jump in. I just was saying he drank juice for 7 minutes without doing anything else. Which, if you think about it,
he counted shadows.
Which, if you think about it, is a long time. And then he sat on a counter. He was able to jump up with dwarven strength. Look, and he was counting shadows for another 7 minutes before proceeding to grab the juice and go downstairs or upstairs. So this is, I don't know. It's good. I like this.
I bet you do.
Also, I like how specific the times are.
At 9:22 p.m. At
9:15, at 9:22.
This is the first story of 2026. We gotta keep it
9:47 and 12 seconds.
We gotta rein it in. Gotta keep it together.
Yeah,
we can't let last year happen again.
No, I'm not, and I'm having fun. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. I went back into the kitchen, opened the fridge door, and stopped. Turning my head to focus outside, I could see someone was standing in the garden. Shut the fridge door and turned off the lights so they couldn't see me so easily, and moved slowly, leaning on the kitchen counter to get a better look. All the doors were locked and all the neighbors were home. Took a moment to remind myself this. Still, my heart quickened a bit as I stood there straining to see his or her shape in the darkness at the end of the garden. I had to keep glancing away to keep their fuzzy outline clear in my vision. They were standing very still and were a little thin. That's all I could see. I couldn't tell anything else.
Oh,
I said out loud. It was the garden umbrella leaning up against the back fence. I forgot that we used it for barbecues. I smiled at myself, pleased that I didn't get too worked up, and went upstairs to my bedroom. I laid on the bed and propped my head up on a pillow. opening my laptop on my stomach to see if anybody was online. Apparently, someone else was bored and saw my name pop up.
Hey.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah, bored. Are your parents still away?
For a couple more weeks.
Why don't I come round?
I don't want to be rude, but I kind of can't be bothered to hang out tonight, LOL. Thanks, though. What? Why? You're just drinking juice.
You said your night was uneventful. You've been drinking juice for 10 minutes and counting shadows. Sorry, buddy. This is a full night for me.
He's laying on his bed, like typing, and the juice is next to him, and he glances over at the juice, and he's like, I've got plans this evening.
And then also, like, amongst this talk of juice, he's also like, and I don't like sleeping face to the wall.
Did I mention I count shadows? I got a long Friday night of counting shadows and drinking juice.
I don't like sleeping with my face to the wall because if someone tries to break in and murder me, I at least want to see their eyes.
I want to see that hatchet flying at my face. While I'm drinking juice.
Do it. Turn it off. That's what he says to the murderer. Turn it off.
Yeah, he's the freak. He's the monster of the story. Yeah.
So far, he pretty much fucking is. Give me some Sunny D before you kill me.
He breaks into people's houses and kills them for their juice. Like he raids the fridge. The end of the story, like he goes back home and he opens the fridge and there's like 40 juice boxes. Like he's been doing this for years.
He's getting strangled on his bed, and then under the covers, he's like feeling around under the covers, and he grabs a giant Welch's grape juice thing and props it open and just dumps it on his face.
I know what you mean. It's cool. What about tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds better.
Cool. I'll be around about 1. I've got some family stuff to do in the morning.
Okay.
You still have a tent, by the way? We can camp in the garden or something.
Oh, slumber party. I love you too, bro.
Whatever. You got the tent, though?
Yeah, somewhere. Let me check. BRB. I got up from my bed and headed to check the cupboard under the stairs. I didn't know where the tent was, but it seemed a good place to start. I opened the cupboard door and started shifting coats aside. Some cardboard boxes were stacked up at the back and might be hiding it, so I started unstacking them. Why give us that level of detail? It's like
I moved my arrays of juices.
There was
and
some
Capri
cardboard
Sun.
boxes. They were stacked up. Maybe the tent could be behind those. Who's to say? I unstacked the boxes. Like
it is important to show the level of juice boxes and boxes of juice boxes, in the house. Yeah, I imagine this is like Costco pallets of juice.
It's going to be like the ending of Creep, where he goes to open the cabinet and there's like hundreds of VHS tapes.
Yeah, just thousands of bottles of juice.
Yeah, just all the juice boxes. Yeah.
Which one today?
I took out a couple of the easy to reach ones and had a stroke of good luck as the tent bag came into view. I leaned over the other boxes and picked up the bag and took the big garden umbrella that's set beside it too, just in case it rained tomorrow. I paused. I put the tent down. It took me a couple of seconds to get back to the kitchen window and focus on the darkness outside. My eyes weren't yet adjusted to the dark, so I couldn't see all the way to the back fence. Oh, okay. That actually, I was making fun of it, but that actually worked pretty well. Because like the level of detail, I wasn't thinking when he mentioned that he moved the garden umbrella, but my head did go, oh, is it like the one outside? But I had the realization the same time the author did. Like, oh, if the umbrella's in here, then what was that out there? That's pretty good. Turning off the kitchen light, I leaned on the counter and continued staring at the same point. The other garden features began to fade into view one by one, fitting my previous mental image. I wasn't sure what I wanted to see. The darkness gave way to the familiar forms I knew. But after a while, I was certain there still stood a figure against the back garden fence. It hadn't moved. I stood there for 15 minutes looking at it. I couldn't tell its shape properly, but it did look like someone standing there. I decided it wasn't a threat. I thought, if I was in any real danger, I would have been a lot more worried by now. That thought kept me calm, but I also wanted to find out what it was. I Couldn't stand there forever. Jogged upstairs, picked up my laptop, brought it down to me with the counter. Could you come around now? Yeah, I think I can see something in my garden.
What is it? An animal?
No, it's tall. I thought it was an umbrella.
And now you're sure it isn't?
I don't know. I thought it was someone, but now I'm sure it's not a person. It just looks weird, and I don't think it was there before.
Before when?
I don't know. Earlier today, maybe? I can't remember.
Are you scared?
I'd feel better if someone else was here.
Well, I did offer to come around, and I'm bored.
So yeah?
Yeah, I'll come soon.
Cool, thanks. Use the front gate. I sat there watching the black shape lean against the fence for another 10 minutes. Eventually, the doorbell rang. I opened it. Chris ran in. Bear hugged me.
It's been too long!
Chris and Mock cried. Yeah, it must have been a whole day.
The torment.
He replied, pretending to ignore me. Look, come over here, I said, pushing him off and walking to the kitchen. I switched off the light and pointed in the figure's direction. Look.
Give me a sec. Can't see properly.
A minute later, he noticed.
That black thing?
Yeah. We both stood there looking at it for a while. I half expected it to be gone when he looked. He leaned over the counter.
It's just a big plant or plank of wood or something. Let's go watch TV.
Will you check with me to make sure?
Do you have a torch?
Oh, gross. Oh, he's British. They're British. Oh, I don't know if we can continue the story in good conscience.
This video is sponsored by our partners at Factor. After the holidays, it's time to get back into our routines and start eating better. It can be hard to stay on top of your eating habits. Thankfully, Factor has got you covered. Factor powers your day, sun up to sundown, with nutritious breakfast and on-the-go lunches and premium dinners. In just 2 minutes, you can eat and enjoy. With 100 rotating meals each week to choose from, you are sure to find something you like. Everything is chef crafted and dietitian approved. And now you can try bold flavors from China and Thailand, or get their new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good for you fats. 97% of customers say that Factor has helped them live a healthier life. And with options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, and Vegan, it's easy to see why. And the best part of Factor is that there's no prep work, no grocery lines, and virtually no cleanup. Head to factor.com/creepcast50 off and use code Creepcast50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code Creepcast50 off at factors.com/Creepcast50 off for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for a whole year. Offer only valid for new Creepcast customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor. Display URL and promo code on screen as read. Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this video. Now back to the episode.
This episode's sponsored by Thorum. Thorum has handcrafted wedding bands that are both unique and resilient, with material options ranging from meteorite, whiskey barrel, and dinosaur bone. You can make a moment even more memorable with one of their rings. With over 10,000 5-star reviews, Thorum is your next ring to love. They have rings made of ironwood, World War II rifle stocks, Damascus steel, tungsten carbide, and many other options. Don't know what size you are? Thorum has paper sizes so you can figure it out at home. Every single order ships within 1 business day, and each ring purchase comes with a free Thorum silicone activity band and a Thorum American Walnut wood ring box. Thorum has free worldwide shipping and lifetime warranty. And if you're not in the market for a ring, Thorum also has watches made with Hawaiian koa, Californian redwood, or meteorite. Whether you need a wedding ring, anniversary ring, or just want a ring that looks awesome, head over to Thorum.com and use code Creepcast. With code Creepcast, you get 20% off your order. Thank you to Thorum. And back to the episode. Is torch slang for British flashlight?
That's what they call it in like the UK. They call flashlights torches. Yeah. No, I admitted.
Well, We could check if we keep the kitchen light on and open the back door a little.
I thought for a second and agreed, but said we should stay right by the house. It's amazing that he has a tent and he knows where that is, but there's no flashlight in the house. And also, I was so right with my prediction at the beginning. Like, I was cheating a bit with the camping thing because Harry had mentioned it. I said, I don't know, maybe turn it off like a flashlight or a light so they don't get spotted. And with the mention of the light switch going on and off, I think I was correct. So,
well, we're not done with the story yet. There could still be a tape of some kind, or
there's no ham tape. There's no ham tape.
It might not be a ham tape, but there might be some kind of tape or ham still involved in this.
I don't think so.
Now, also the figure that's standing out there, which is kind of creepy. You have a guy standing out there for fucking 25 minutes to an hour. By this
point,
he
specified it doesn't look like a human,
right? Or something. Something's out there, right? Leaning against the fence,
right.
What makes it so much creepier to me is that the casualness of it. It's leaning on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Marlboro Man or something like that. You know, just like chilling out there. Do you think that it's like eyes are just looking right at it, or is it just pure black silhouette?
He said at first that it looks like a human, but now he's not so sure. So I think it's just kind of like a tall shape. I don't think he sees eyes or anything like that. I think it's just silhouette, because they're both in denial that it's even a person. They're like, is it like a giant board or something?
Yeah, well, they're definitely doing that kid thing where it's like, it's just like, it's probably like a shrub, because in the back of your mind you're like, I'm so scared right now.
Yeah, it's like 3 jackets piled on top of a horse. You know, it's fine.
Dead starts sprinting at you. It's just jackets.
That's a horse. That's a horse with jackets. That's what they do.
That's immediately chugging juice.
Through this whole conversation, like he just has juice running down his shirt.
I
Gallon.
I have not pictured this boy, this child, however old this child is, without a carton or glass of juice somehow in his vicinity, or if he's just been holding it the whole time.
As they go to open the door, he's like shaking. The lid's open, juice is spilling everywhere.
Yeah. Come on in, Chris.
You want some juice? Nah, it's okay. I'll take water. He just like starts throwing up.
Yeah, Chris is talking to his friend. He's like, yeah, my mom says I should hang out with him more because he doesn't get a lot of friends. So we slipped on our trainers and opened the back door. Stepping onto the patio, I felt the air was heavy and warm that night. Chris walked behind me. We stood very close to the door, peering at the back fence. Should we? I had just started to speak when he quickly stepped into the house again, still looking at the fence. What? I asked, following him in. I turned and realized that the figure was gone. It was obvious from the light coming from the back door that the fence and the rest of the garden was just as it always was.
Where is it?
If it was leaning against the fence, it probably fell over into a bush or something. I tried to convince us both. I stared out for a few seconds longer and decided that we were too nervous to go and check. I don't usually give in to my night terrors, but now they were just beginning to click into my head. Can you stay over for the night? I asked Chris.
Yeah, sure.
It didn't sound like he really wanted to. Kept his eyes on the fence. We both went inside and locked the door before going up to my room. I got out a sleeping bag for Chris and drew the curtains without looking outside into the garden again. We talked about stupid stuff for a couple of hours to take our minds off the garden. We fell asleep.
I gotta say,
yeah, so I really like the Vita juice and the pomegranate. What about you? What's your favorite?
Chris is, I gotta say, respect gained from Chris, right? If it was me, I would be gone. I would not fucking stay.
You'd leave me in a heartbeat.
I think a lot of people would be like, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Why don't we go to my house? Instead, Chris is a fucking, what a good friend. Plus 2 points for Chris.
It's also in that weird place where it's like, why don't they go to Chris's house? But they're both 13 and they don't know they saw something. So maybe it's the idea of like, well, I don't want to bother my parents and you come over and like make it a whole deal. So it's just plausible enough that they would stay there, I think. Because it's not like they saw a giant guy with like bloody teeth or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just maybe they saw a shape. Yeah.
They still don't really even know what they saw. So there's still plausible deniability in their brain, right? But
yes,
The reason I think that they don't leave too is that once again, it's the thing where it's outside. To be able to leave is outside. They're probably. I wonder if it's some psychological thing where they're like, if we go outside, it's going to get us. So why don't we you just want to stay here tonight? Sure. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so. In the morning, I found Chris's sleeping bag empty. I called out to Chris and he said he was downstairs. So I threw on a t-shirt and went down. Sleep well? I asked.
Pretty well. But I kept thinking about the garden and stuff. Hey, did you find that tent?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I found that tent. Chris, you're going to want to see this. And it's just another fridge full of juice.
We got to go to the store and get more juice.
Gotta get more juice. I answered, remembering that shape, which I had forgotten about until now.
Well, I was thinking about the camping thing and thought maybe we could bring the tent to my house. It would just make a change,
Didn't have to ask him why. I wasn't too keen on staying in my garden after last night. Wait, last night? Come to think of it, the sun was up and I wanted to check the garden while it wasn't pitch black. I asked Chris and he hesitantly agreed. We put on our trainers and stepped out into the garden. I don't know what we were so worried about. It was bright and colorful. The plants and bushes around the edges of the garden smelled good, and there was a bird in one of the small trees singing out for its mate somewhere. We walked to the back fence to find nothing out of place and looked over the bushes in front of the paneling to check if anything lay behind them. We found nothing. I walked around the edge of the whole garden once more while Chris tried whistling to the bird. Cocked its head from side to side trying to figure him out. It was a warm day, perfect for camping that evening, I decided. We talked as we filled a couple of rucksacks with sleeping bags and some food from the kitchen. We didn't want to set up a fire, so we packed some tinned hot dogs, bread, a pack of tomatoes, and chocolate, as well as some bottles of water.
There's a forest just next to my house, which is actually pretty good. Our garden backs to the edge of it. I stayed in a tent there once with my dad for my first little camping trip when I was like 7. And I remember I was so excited at the time. I thought we were really roughing it like some hardcore mountaineers. If we get too cold or need some more food, we could just go to my house. My parents are out, so we'll have a free run of the place anyway.
Yours are away too?
That is suspicious, is it not?
Interesting.
It's their anniversary, so they're out for the night. They're staying at a hotel in the next town over. They'll be back in the morning.
Apparently leaving your kids behind was in fashion this summer.
It seems like, I wonder if it just seems too planned, too calculated.
Well, I think what it may be is this creature shows up when kids' parents are away. Or the parents are like, well, it's time for the yearly child sacrifice.
That's what I want to believe, dude. I want to believe they're just like, well, we'll see what the juice goblin, who he wants to pick up tonight.
Yeah, we'll see who the goblin comes for. We've been fattening our son up with juice for months at this point, so.
That's actually such a sweet idea. It's like all the kids in the town are forced to drink juice and stuff. Get all plump on juice, so it's
Isn't there a horror movie like that where the parents are fattening up the kids for something?
I'm thinking of Hansel and Gretel or something.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
I mean, there's probably some like feeder horror movie.
Yeah. At about noon, we left my house with the 2 rucksacks, sleeping bag for each of us, and the tent. Made our way to Chris's house. It was fairly close by, and a part of the same pleasant neighborhood. Talked and joked a lot, walking side by side, nodding and greeting a couple of familiar neighbors as we went. It was a crazy nice day. The sun was almost too much. It was hot on our necks, and the trees by the sidewalk seemed to glow green from underneath as the sunlight passed through the leaves. A sprinkler offered us some water as we walked by one house, and it felt good on my hot arms. I was already sweating by the time we got to Chris's place. We hadn't been walking for more than 20 minutes. We didn't go inside his house immediately because it was so hot, so we went straight to his garden and dumped our bags in the shade. He wasn't joking. The gate of his garden backed straight onto an impressive forest. Very tall, thin trees stood high above the house and continued as far as I could see. Some bushes and shrubs littered the forest floor, but most of it was either grass or fairly smooth sections of dirt. I didn't see how this forest was classed as small.
Looks good, right?
It's awesome. I admitted, opening the gate and surveying the area. I also like this. This explanation works better because after that first night, I was like, there's no way they would reasonably camp in that backyard. But now it's like, oh, we're going to my friend's house, so that's more reasonable. We also didn't see anything. But this is a way where they saw something suspicious that still made them want to go out into the woods. So like the setups make sense. I walked out in between the trees and found a flat spot for the tent. I turned around to ask Chris's opinion and paused, a little disappointed. Didn't feel like real camping when his house was so obviously in our faces. Let's go a little further in so it at least feels legit, I said, and walked back to pick up my bags. Chris objected to carrying his, quote, heavy shit any further. We walked in a straight line from Chris's house and kept checking behind us until the house was just about obscured by trees in front of each other. We had only gone a very short way in, but the forest was already thicker and greener. There was even a long rope swing hanging from one of the trees, but it looked too old to hold our weight, so we decided to keep our spines unbroken and give it a miss. I unpacked the tent and set it up with Chris's help, and we threw our sleeping bags inside. I laid down inside to test it out. It was so warm and humid, I had to adjust my breathing for a second. I stepped out again and asked Chris if he had a torch for the evening.
I could do better than that,
was his response, and he took off towards the house. I was too hot to run after him, so I opened my rucksack and cracked open a bottle of water, downing half of it and putting the rest back in the pack. Took a lot of restraint for that to not be juice, by the way.
It was juice at one point, and then someone was like, "Hey, cool it with the juice."
Cool it with the juice thing.
Have a really good have story. Have him hydrate like a new boy,
you
like
need
a regular
to,
boy.
After the second paragraph, you need to drop the juice thing.
What do you mean? Why?
What's wrong?
Lips chapped, lips completely covered and stained from grape juice.
Why? What do you mean?
Why would we not?
Are you thirsty?
No, I'm not thirsty.
I laid down on a patch of grass and looked up at the canopy. The leaves were shifting gently in a breeze I couldn't feel from down here. I watched them sway and mesh together until I heard Chris return. Did you get a torch? I asked, closing my eyes. The sun shone through my eyelids and colored my vision red. I listened to the soft sound of his footsteps on the grass as he walked past me towards the rope swing. That's not gonna hold you. Oh. I think I know where this is going.
For sure not Chris, by the way.
Yeah. That's not gonna hold you, I warned as I heard him tug the branch with a small creak. He tugged it, and creaked in response. I listened. He tugged it once more, and again. There was a moment of silence as I guessed he was still weighing it up, and then another tug. He continued to tug a few more times, and the creaking followed each one. I was sure it wouldn't hold his weight, and I smiled, predicting one big creak and a snap as the rope or the branch broke. I waited as some final tugs were made. Creak, creak. I waited still. Creak, creak, creak.
Yo!
I heard Chris's voice coming from his garden. Man. I sat bolt upright, almost spraining my neck as I snapped my head sideways to face his house. He was jogging through the trees holding an electric lantern. I switched my gaze in the other direction towards the rope swing. It was hanging still, nothing nearby. I stood up and turned full circle, nothing in any other direction.
I love that little payoff.
What? I mouthed to myself, walking towards the rope. I tugged it gently. It didn't creak. I pulled it harder. It didn't creak. My mouth went dry. I jumped up, grabbed hold, and yanked it down. The branch bent a little as my feet touched the floor, and still it didn't make a sound. I kept holding of it as I stared up towards the branches, but eventually the rope gave way under my weight somewhere in the middle, and a soft thud fell on my ears as the thick rope fell in front of me. Chris was rattling the lantern as he came by.
I've never used this before. I got it for Christmas for my cousin. She buys some weird presents. I see the swing is dead. Let's have a proper burial in memory of all the joy it gave us.
The main character is like fighting demons right now, scared to death. He's like, I got this for Christmas, and my cousin got it, but she always gets weird gifts. And
I love that idea though of like you're sitting there. I love whenever it's just a thing of you assume it's the person you know behind you making the sounds that are all familiar of like playing on this swing that they've been on before. And I love the kid-like approach of coming back and, you know, and being like, oh, the thing snapped. Like not understanding the weight of like how fucking creepy the thing just happened was. It really just helps sell the idea of like just innocent kids just like trying to camp.
Mm-hmm. It's such an easy play, but doing the whole, I think this is something, but it's something else standing next to me, it always works. Always.
I at least for me, I always gobble that shit up. I'm sure some people are like, because it's kind of like, you know, I mean, obviously you see it coming, but it's still fun. I don't know. I like it.
I like the idea of the creaking too.
Yeah,
because it's
like bending, or not bending, but like stretching and stuff. It's just a fun.
Well, it almost sounds like it was the thing making the creaking noise, because the rope never made the noise, right? He assumed it was the rope or the branch, but it wasn't either. So it's like whatever this thing is, it makes creaking noises when it moves.
I love the idea of like a monster too, getting on like something with like a rope. Ropes have such a straining, almost like bone breaking sound that like I like to think that the creature just in his movement makes that kind of sound too. So it's like this weird, like almost like stacked auditory, like sensory fucking overload of like just this stretching, breaking sound. Kind of sick.
Pretty hard. You know, some of my complaints from the beginning, I apologize. Pretty good. I didn't respond. I continued looking up at the branch with half a rope swing tied to it.
Hey, are you good?
Chris followed my gaze. I thought you'd already come back, said immediately. I wasn't the type to let things slide with an, oh, it's nothing.
What?
Someone walked by me and was messing around with the rope swing.
Who was it?
I don't know.
Are they still around?
I don't know. I had my eyes closed and I was laying just there. But then I heard you shout, so I looked around and there was nothing here. I heard them walk by my head. I felt a bit sick.
Look, calm down for a second. It's the middle of the day. We're 30 feet from my house. And even if there was a person, so what? It's just some public woods. Anyone can come through here. All right, Chris. I thought you were based before, but this is you're being a little too carefree. You're being a little too careful for me, Chris. All right.
Yeah, I thought you were based and red pilled. I thought you were Chad. I thought he was. Really, you're just virgin cell.
I thought that he was Giga Chad for sure, but now I'm like, you're hanging a little too loose there, brother. Yeah. Also, like, just be like, it's a public forest. It's 30 feet from your house. Sir, how about you don't walk in my literal backyard, please and thank you.
It's a public forest. That's why they come and touch our walls and like, you know, look into our bedrooms. It's a public forest.
That's why they tuck me in every night.
Because it's a public forest.
Because it's a public forest. He comes in.
That's why they drink all of our juice. And wait, go ahead. You were about to say he comes in and gives you what?
Gives me kisses on my forehead. Tells me I'm a good boy.
Kisses on the what?
On the head.
Oh, okay. You wrap belly kisses into a lot of stories, so that's where I figured that was coming from.
Give him a raspberry.
Yeah.
Chris is kicking and giggling in his room.
Like this family's got like their 12-year-old in the bedroom, and it's like some neighbor comes into the bedroom and the parents are just like, oh, he's that way. Public forest, you know. Good what night. Can you do?
Yeah. Where's Chris? He's down in his room. Good night, Chris. Whatever. Turn that off. I just think that's the whole thing.
The mom and dad are watching TV and they can hear it. They're just like, God damn it. Public forest. What can you do? That made some sense. And he was right about it being public. But then where were they? Glanced around one more time. However, the trees quickly layered up and I couldn't see far at all. I guess it was possible for me to lose track of someone here in a short distance. Okay. Man, I can stay alone in the house for weeks on end, but I can't handle a short walk through the woods on a summer's day.
That's why you bought some muscle,
declared Chris, wielding the lantern above his head, and I laughed. We spent the day walking around the forest and returned to the tent to get some water when we were too hot. We talked about school and what our plans were for the future. We talked about dreams we'd had and ghosts and creatures that lurked in the dark. Neither of us were too scared of things like that, but they made for good camping stories. Chris told a particularly good one of a woman who lived in the woods. She had the head of a cat, and if you heard her raspy meow, I read raspy as raspberry for a second. She had the head of a cat, and if you heard her raspy meow, That meant she was trying to find you. If she stopped meowing, it signified you were found, and she was quickly making her way towards you. Made my skin crawl a little, and we stopped telling stories soon after that.
I just want to say, I wish
a woman
that
with the head of a cat.
I wish that was the fucking monster. Like, you know, something like, I love those just kind of like folk tale-y, Grimm's fairy tale kind of creatures.
Yeah. If she stops meowing, it's like through the woods.
Also, how fucking creepy is that? You start hearing a cat, and you're like, what the fuck? And then it goes silent.
That actually reminds me. So the most scared I ever was of a Goosebumps episode. What was it called? Cat Scratch? It was about a cat. Or no, it was a dead cat. You know the one I'm talking about, Shirley, right?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so.
It's about a cat that if the cat got ran over by a car. Cry of the Cat. That's what it was. Cry of the Cat. Yeah. The cat got hit by a car, but it kept coming back. And it's like, if it scratched you, you caught like the zombie plague it had. Anyway, at the beginning of a story, there's a woman who gets scratched by it and starts to transform into a cat person. And you don't see what she looks like till the very end of the story. Now I'm about to send you this picture, Hunter. I think I watched this when I was 8, maybe 9. I did not sleep for weeks. I saw this image and lost my mind. Hold on, where'd that picture go? Hold on, where those? I just saved it to my desktop. Where did you go?
Okay, that is fucking haunting. For people that don't know,
when
it's
I was
like
8.
It's not even like a regular just cat. It's like a fucking like dying. It looks like a 25-year-old cat if they stretched it out and gave it like human appendages. It looks haunting.
This is the first shot of it too. She steps out of a dark hallway like this. Bro, I was freaked out, man.
Fuck that.
Yeah, I was losing my mind. And then the actual zombie cat shows up at the end, but I didn't care. The zombie cat
I don't
didn't
give a
bother
fuck
me.
with the zombie cat now. I've seen the face of hell right here before this.
Hold on, here's the zombie cat that shows up at the very end of the story. Didn't bother me. I was like, yeah, that's a cat monster thing. Who cares?
God, the effects in the show are so sick, dude.
Goosebumps went hard. Goosebumps went super hard. They did great. But man, I tell you what, that face freaked me out. Anyway, but that's what when they're talking about the woman with the head of a cat, that's what I thought of, that thing in the woods. The light of day eventually faded, and it was getting hard to see, so we headed back to the tent for the night. The impressive heat during the day had killed our appetites, so we left the food for now and decided we'd eat it at the night if we got hungry. Chris hung the electric lantern at the front of the tent, flicking it on as he did so. It was surprisingly bright, spilled a yellow light onto the ground and onto the trees that faced us. The warm glow looked dramatic, but whatever was beyond the light had hidden in blackness. Our immediate area was clear, but after a few paces, the light seemed to stop dead. It looked weird. Chris ducked under the tent opening and I followed him. The sleeping bags looked inviting as the heat from earlier had gone and it was too cold for shirts and shorts. We got inside and took the lantern with us. Can you hear meowing? I said, what's up, bro? I said, my head tilted as I strained to hear.
Yeah, I can hear some bullshit too.
That would be you. That's 100% a you response.
No, I'm too much of a pussy. I'm telling you, I'm too much of a pussy. Like Chris is actually doom pilled. He is black pilled, Chris, for sure. This little motherfucker wants to die. Why are you smiling? Are we not afraid, Chris? Hello? We're out here all alone and people walk in this public forest all the time and come and give me belly kisses at night.
Yeah, what's so weird about it, dude? There's like a line of people outside of the tent coming to give him belly kisses. Yeah, maybe get with the times, dude. Maybe open up a little. Good night,
Chris.
Chris smiled and zipped up his sleeping bag. Damn, I thought I had him. No, well. I zipped up my own bag and we lay there talking for a little while. And then the exhaustion of such a hot summer hit us and we fell asleep.
All right, thank God. It was just a joke. All right, so Chris is really teetering the line. I can't tell. But yeah, it was just doing a little
yeah,
goof
he was
gaff.
messing around like, can you hear meowing? He's like, yeah, I can hear some bullshit too. Like,
yeah. This episode's sponsored by Hexclad. At the beginning of the new year, there's lots of talks about eating healthier. But before we talk about cooking, we need to talk about your pan. Hexclad completely changed the game by combining the performance stainless steel with the convenience of non-stick all-in-one pan. Most cookware forces you to choose great performance or easy cleanup, but never both. Thanks to Hexclad, you can now get a beautiful sear, great heat control, and easy cleanup. Hexclad does it all. It's dishwasher safe, oven safe, up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, and the steel handles stay cool so you don't burn yourself in the process. Hexclad's 12-piece set is ultimate all-in-one cookware upgrade. Why do you keep looking at me, Nick? It comes with 3 versatile pans, 2 saucepans, and a family-sized stock pot. New year, new you, new cookware. For a limited time only, our listeners get 10% off your order with our exclusive link. Just head to hexclad.com/creepcast. Support our show and check them out at hexclad.com/creepcast. Make sure to let them know that we sent you. Bon appetit. Let's eat with Hexclad's revolutionary cookware. Do they actually have us say that? Bon appetit, let us eat what. Thank you to Hexclad. Now back to the episode.
I had a dream that we were walking to Chris's house again, but there were more trees than before, and it was getting dark very quickly. I blinked, and suddenly it was night. The forest sprawling in every direction. The rope swing hung in front of me. I turned around and Chris was gone. I heard a creak behind me. A feeling came over me like I'd missed a step on the stairs. For some reason, I couldn't turn around. I started walking straight ahead and the rope swing soon came into my view again. I was aware I was in a nightmare. The rope swing slowly lifted itself up into the trees and I watched it disappear. I walked over and stood beneath where it had been, and there was a rustle above me. As I lifted my eyes to the canopy, a black figure with the head of a cat came hurtling downwards with its mouth open, horrifically wide. One of its teeth touched my left eye, and I tore myself awake, gasping as I sat up in the tent. My back was damp with sweat, and Chris was asleep next to me. The lantern was still on, and I could see our backpacks at the end of the tent. I took a moment to breathe and then let myself lay back down, my head thumping on the floor a little too hard. I winced and reached for the bottle of water to my side, down in a few mouthfuls. I couldn't fall asleep with the glow of the lantern on my eyelids, so I sat up and searched the tent for it. Quickly realized the light was coming from outside. Ooh. Chris, I said, still confused from sleep. He mumbled something in reply. Chris, where's the lantern? He said slowly and sleepily before turning over. Looking around again, the light was obviously coming from outside. I weighed up the options. Either some murderer had snuck into our tent and done nothing but take the lantern outside, or we didn't actually bring it into the tent and I had remembered wrong. That sounded more convincing, so I knelt by the tent door and unzipped it. From the opening, I looked around. It wasn't immediately obvious where the glow was coming from. Why couldn't I see it? I looked up. The lantern was resting 20 feet in the air, hanging in the dark. Goosebumps swept across my skin and I zipped up the door before shaking Chris. That's pretty good.
I do like that.
That's pretty solid. Yeah, that's something's taken the lantern and like tied it to the rope swing it was testing earlier. Chris, please wake up. He heard the urgency in my voice and sat up.
What's wrong?
Chris said, rubbing his eyes. The lantern's hanging outside.
But I brought it in.
I felt sick as my reasoning broke. We both looked at the front of the tent. We should go back to the house, I said, my resolve buckling. I was just a kid in a forest whose parents were away.
I'm not walking through the dark,
he replied. Chris was now looking worried. We've got a lantern. I stopped myself. We looked at the front of the tent again. Couldn't sit there forever. We were getting scared as we sat there doing nothing. So this was the plan. We weren't going back to sleep. We would get the lantern back somehow, leave everything here, and spend the night in Chris's house. I hated being the one to go first. I wanted to turn back, even just crouching by the tent entrance. Unzipping the fabric doors, I looked around. Nothing. I peered over the tent behind us. Nothing in sight. Literally nothing. Everything was black outside of the light. I took a step out and it was cold. Chris said the same as he stood right by my side, looking over his shoulder. He turned back and saw the lantern in the air.
Oh my God.
We stood there looking at it for a few seconds. It seemed to crawl by. Eventually, I worked out which tree it was hanging from. The broken rope swing at my feet confirmed it. Way up out of reach, the lantern hung above our heads, tied to the other end of the rope that still dangled from the darkness. I couldn't work it out. It was high up, too high up for even a ladder. The trees were thin and bare besides the leaves that made up the canopy. There was nowhere to climb. Picking up the length of rope that had snapped off earlier, I bundled it up and tied a knot and aimed it at the lantern. I took a step back and jumped, tossing it into the air. It caught the lantern on its side and sent it swinging, through shadows rocking around us. I suddenly wished it hadn't hit it. The light made the shadows lean from side to side with the lantern. The horrible, unnatural swaying made me panic and my eyes became wet as fear took a solid hold of me. I picked up the rope again and lobbed it desperately at the lantern. I missed and the bundle of rope sailed off into the darkness. Helplessly, I turned to Chris, who had already grabbed his backpack. He span around and threw it with a yelp, and it hit the lantern dead on. It fell and thudded to the floor with a crack, but the light was still on, and I ran to pick it up. I turned to Chris and almost cried with relief. Okay, go, let's go, I urged, and he started jogging quickly towards his house as I followed. Bro, that idea, the image of it hanging up in the tree, and like as it sways, all the shadows of the near trees are like swaying back and forth.
Yeah, just like
what
dancing.
A great visual, man.
Yeah, really creepy.
And also the idea of like whatever did it to mess with them by hanging it up in the tree, and it's almost made them like they're in a fishbowl, right? Like they're not going to step out in the darkness, so they're stuck to this like this chosen area. That's so creepy.
It's literally becoming like a shark in open water kind of thing. Yeah. But I do like the use of that shadow. It makes the threat feel like bigger, and it makes it feel like they're they're actually dwarfed in size, and they're like
something had to reach. There was nowhere to climb. Something had to reach up that big to tie. Well, even if you just a tree.
If you just think of the light, the shadows are going to make it just makes everything. It makes you feel small, like you're trapped in a cage or something with the way it's swinging. But yeah, just really, really cool.
Yeah. We half ran, half stumbled off into the dark, checking over our shoulders and working ourselves up as our thoughts were consumed by everything that may be waiting in the trees for us. I don't know how long we were moving, but it soon became apparent that Chris's house wasn't in this direction.
For God's sakes, where is it?
Chris said, tension taking hold of his voice.
We'll have to find the tent and try again.
A couple of tears were forming at the corners of his eyes. They were probably on mine too, but my heart was thumping so hard I didn't notice. Okay. I took a breath and we turned around, headed in a straight line directly behind us. Wait, okay, so what happened there? I don't know. Oh, they were running the wrong way. I see. They've been going further into the woods.
Yeah, because they don't have they don't have the lantern, so they're just like.
Oh man. Wait, no, they got it. They knocked it on the ground. Remember? He picked it up.
And they grabbed it. Okay.
They grabbed it, but they're going the wrong way. Yeah. What if we didn't find the tent? I couldn't stop myself thinking that over and over as we retraced our steps. We walked for what seemed like twice as long before the light finally fell on the side of the tent. We ran up and stood close to its side, looking around to try and figure out which direction we should go. The silence was like the buildup of a nightmare, right before some horrible thing lurches out at you, screaming. The comparison made me gag and I scrunched my eyes shut, the hair on my skin lifting. My temples were so hot it felt like my brain was thudding against the inside of my skull. I couldn't begin to guess where the house was. We could see about 10 feet from the lantern, and then pitch black. There were no clues. Every direction looked wrong. Chris took the lantern from me and walked in a small circle, straining his eyes to try and see. I stayed put. Chris, turn it off, I whispered to him hurriedly.
What?
I stepped quickly and quietly towards him, bringing my face to his. There's something in the tent. Okay, for one, bear trap. Because at the beginning of the story, I said perhaps they're in the woods and there's afraid there's something out there. So the turn it off's in reference to a flashlight. I was right. Also, oh my gosh.
I'm very curious to know what this thing is.
Yeah. We may not get a direct answer, and that's fine because they've given us so much to work with, but man. His gaze shifted past me towards the tent, and he stood there staring. We were standing on the left-hand side of the tent. From this angle, I could just about see the unzipped door hanging open, but I remembered leaving it that way. So that wasn't what was making me clench my teeth together. A few feet away, my rucksack sat outside on the dry earth, the food I'd packed, now neatly arranged trailing from it. Our sleeping bags were also nicely laid out, end to end, making the line of belongings lead straight into the mouth of the tent. Dude. Oh, it's like breadcrumbs leading inside of the tent.
I do love it. This is like the way that this keeps kind of coming back to that grim fairy tale thing is really fun.
Yeah.
It really is like a child's like just tale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a giant trapdoor spider. Like something's in there waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, nothing in here. I promise. Just candy and juice. Come on in.
I took a careful step forward so the light could pass more easily through the fabric. Couldn't have been a trick of the light. Something big and dark was obviously crouched, with what I guessed was its front facing the open door. I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. It didn't move at all or seem to breathe. It just sat, waiting for us to investigate the display it had made. Turn it off, I whispered again. Chris continued staring, deaf to me. Chris, I pleaded in a whisper. A voice from nearby joined in. Chris.
That's fun.
That's sick, dude. That's awesome. We both heard it and the blood fell in our veins. It came from the tent, a slow, strained rasp of a voice that sounded like a parrot copying a new word. The sound clicked across my skin and crept into my ears. The light flicked off with a click that was too loud. Chris grabbed my shoulder and I clenched my fist closed, painfully tight. We stood there in complete darkness. I didn't want to move. I didn't want to stay. My brain fought for control as my legs waited for a decision, rooted in place. We breathed shallow, quiet breaths, blackness pressing on our eyes like water. Sweat ran down my neck. I couldn't see the tent.
Chris, turn it
off. My stomach flipped inside out as the thing in the tent played with my words. I quickly grabbed Chris's hand, yanking him in the opposite direction. I ran like I never had before, Chris's legs thudding alternately with mine. The sprint continued for about a minute. We lost ourselves as we ran through absolute darkness. I forgot where we were and I couldn't see what was in front of my face. I ran head on into a tree and my forehead struck its side with a sickening hollow knock.
Oof.
Sparks lit up inside my eyes and I choked back the pain. It hurt so much I couldn't breathe. Chris tried to pull me on, but I buckled to the floor on my knees and threw up. As I collapsed onto my back, my head went numb. Chris lifted me up.
Please don't stop, please. Please.
He begged. I couldn't reply.
Please keep going.
I forced my legs to take my weight as I locked my knees upright, leaning on Chris. My body felt empty and a little blood rolled down my forehead and into my brow. I wiped it away as I tried to grasp the situation again, but the pain was too much. Wait, I can't. Just wait. We stood together in the inky woods, but we could have been anywhere. I couldn't see Chris as he huddled next to me. It didn't feel like darkness. It felt like someone had wrapped my head in a blanket. Neither of us said a word as we waited, but our breathing was loud, and I wondered from what distance it could be heard. Reality began to return to me, and the pain was now just about bearable. I straightened up, grasping at what was happening. The pins of fear sank into me a second time, and I started counting in my head. 1 minute passed without any sound in the world. The wind was dead, and the birds might be too. Another minute went by. I continued counting. 3 minutes. We were still alone. Was it even looking for us? I reached for Chris's arm in the dark. He jumped when I touched it, but I steadied him with the other. He was still holding the lantern. Good. We had light on our side. Now if only we could use it. I went over the events hurriedly in my mind. The lantern was hanging from a tree. We got out of the tent, then couldn't find our way home. By the time we returned to the tent, something was in it, but then why did it take the lantern and do nothing while we slept? If it was sheer luck that we were alone when we were trying to get the lantern, I wonder just how small the possibility was of us getting a second chance. I stayed silent for a moment and then whispered as best I could. Chris, we need to turn on the lantern. We need to get away from here and we make a run for your house, but we need to see.
No, please. We have to stay here. We can wait for morning if we have to. You can't turn it on.
I could hear in his voice that a sob was breaking through.
Just keep quiet. You fucking have to, please.
Parted my lips to try again, but as I did, I heard something. A very faint clicking sound from somewhere in the dark. It was almost inaudible, but it was there. An irregular, stuttering, clicking sound. It sounded like fingernails on a wooden table, and it was moving. It came from in front of us, I was sure of it. A steady click, clack, click filled my ears as we tried to gauge the distance. It was drawing closer. Click, clack, click. It stopped. I was glad for the first time in my life that I couldn't see what was waiting in the dark. Perhaps that meant we were also hidden. As my thoughts fired off in every direction, I gave the thing in the darkness the image of the cat-headed woman. And it terrified me. I was just waiting to hear that meow, but my ears were met with something else.
Chris.
I tensed my throat and tried not to cry. It said his name twice, and I cupped my hand over my mouth. The horrible, scraping dialogue sounded a few steps away. The words were said oddly, with no meaning behind them. They were just sounds that this thing had picked up and was now using them to catch us out in the dark. Chris let go of my hand, and I heard his foot plant softly on the grass behind me as he prepared to run. Don't you dare, I tried to project into his mind. Don't you make a sound. It sounded so wrong, drawn out like a door slowly opening. Chris let out a whimper as it called him. I froze and waited for something, anything, to happen. There was a long silence and I held my breath for as long as I could. I couldn't wait anymore. Very slowly, I reached out to Chris and put my hand on his shoulder, and very carefully, we both lifted our feet and managed to step without making a sound. We backstepped away from the voice and didn't stop moving, but ever so carefully. So slowly. I didn't care how long it would take us to get somewhere. If it took us an hour every step, we were going to get out. Chris backed into a tree and gasped audibly. The clicking started up immediately. It rolled on, consistently moving towards us. I didn't know what to do. All I could think of was to screw my eyes shut and try not to scream. As we stood there, the clicking came to a stop an arm's length away from where we stood. Silence.
Turn it on. Please.
Fear took over. Chris switched on the light and tore off in the other direction without looking behind him. I wheeled in place and held the lantern in my sight like nothing else existed. We didn't dare look at that thing, but we could hear it. Our footsteps thudded on the grass, and the thing pursued us with the tap, 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 now like scurrying little claws on hard earth. As I ran desperately to catch up to the light, the sound suddenly rose up behind me and over our heads in between the trees. This wasn't happening. It was going to drop down on us. Turn! I screamed. I didn't care anymore. If we were going to get out with our lives, we were going to have to run for them. We suddenly changed course. The tapping stopped for a moment, long enough for us to gain a few feet before it came in our direction again. My legs were cramping horribly and Chris was gasping hard. We couldn't keep this up. But where were we? I saw the light from the lantern come to an abrupt halt up ahead. I didn't have time to stop and brace myself to thump into Chris, but the light passed beneath my feet. He had dropped the lantern. I turned my head and watched it recede into the darkness. It was immediately too far for me to go back. The thing would be on me in a second. Chris! I was crying and swiping tears from my cheeks as I ran, preparing for my face to connect with the tree at any moment.
Keep going.
I heard Chris from up ahead.
There's a light.
My vision was bleary from tears, but could see it, an orange glow hanging in the air in the distance. Another one? What was happening? I wanted to scream at him to avoid it, but I realized it was a street light. My legs felt like I was running through water, but I pushed them harder with the goal in sight. Gradually and painfully, the light drew closer, as did the clicking. This thing could move like nothing I knew. I saw Chris's figure pass underneath the streetlight, and then he was gone again. Don't stop! I yelled as I approached the edge of the forest, and my legs adjusted as the forest floor gave way to his solid footing. I could see a row of more streetlights leading off to the right, and Chris's figure was passing regularly underneath each. When I was sure I was completely out of the trees, I didn't stop. I ran under several more streetlights, putting as much distance as I could manage between us and the edge of the woods. I realized after a while that the clicking had stopped. I needed to see we were okay. I turned my head and looked back along the row of lights, keeping my gaze on the first light. My pace slowed as the pain in my head and legs came back. There was silence once more, and the lights revealed an empty pathway. I jogged on and kept my eyes on the glow, expecting to see something at any minute, but it lit up nothing but concrete in the edge of the road. Is it there? The question pulsed in my mind over and over. As I turned my head to continue catching up to Chris, I caught sight of something pass under the first streetlight. An almighty shock went through me as my fears were confirmed. I let out a cry and picked up the pace once more, sprinting between the lights. The image was burned into my mind. I hardly caught a glimpse of the thing, but it was white and massive. It almost brushed the streetlight as it went under it. It had a long, upright body full of kinks, like it had just unfolded itself. That's all I was able to tell. Must have had a face and limbs, but I didn't have time to see. I didn't look again. The path gave way to more lights, and soon I could see the glow of windows and some houses on either side of the road. I recognized where we were, close to my house by some miracle. A little further and we would be there. My house! I yelled, and Chris listened, turning left onto a side street and dashing down. With panic on my side, I reached the turn and looked down the road to see Chris jumping the fence into my garden.
Hurry up!
I heard him scream. Reaching the fence, I planted my hands on top, hoisting myself over and shredding my elbows in the process. My ankle stung as I thudded into the garden and sprinted towards the kitchen door. Chris stepped aside, gasping for air as I fumbled the key into the lock and wrenched it sideways. We both flew into the kitchen and slammed the door behind us. I locked it from the inside and we both sprinted upstairs into the bedroom, locking it behind us. What was that? I managed to say in a panicked whisper, wondering if it would get in. Did you see it?
No.
Chris crouched under the window, letting tears roll. Shit, it was so tall. It was, I couldn't.
Don't tell me.
Chris cut me off. I mulled it over again and again as we sat there. Minutes slowly ticked by into hours. My head was fizzing all the while, and I could still hear its voice, a disgusting voice. My elbows and forearms were sticky with blood, and we both looked at the floor. The occasional sob coming from the two of us. Our hearts banged in our chest, and we spent the night that way. Light streamed in from the window, but we didn't unlock the bathroom door until noon. We crept downstairs. The kitchen door was still locked, and nothing was in the house. Looked out the living room window. Another perfect day. No people walked by, but the sprinklers were on and I could hear birds again. It helped calm our nerves. That tin can stay there, I said at last.
Yeah.
Chris agreed. We stayed in the living room with the TV off all day. We didn't know what to do. Talked about if we should call the police or something. The day crawled by as we tried to rake our thoughts together and think of what to do next. But all that went through my mind was what had just happened, not what we should be doing. By the time it was dark, at about 9 p.m., the phone rang. It was Chris's parents asking if I had seen him as they were getting worried. He just got back from out of town. I let them know he was okay and asked if they could come and pick us both up from my house because something had happened. They wanted to know what, but I said we'd both tell them when they get here. I said they'd be here soon. Relief watched over us as adults were on their way to make everything all right. They would believe us. We didn't lie about these things. Even if they were skeptical, It at least believed that some dangerous animal was in the forest, and that was good enough for us. I went into the kitchen to get some juice from the...
Of course. Of course. It began with juice, end with juice. It only makes sense with our main character at this point. Motherfucker loves juice. Motherfucker cannot go a day without juice. Good Lord.
Bro, I've been so locked in.
I know.
And then
Mr. Chills was like, and juice.
We can't forget what the story is all about.
It's just to push juice. Yeah.
Oh. I went into the kitchen to get some juice from the fridge and realized I hadn't had a drink all day. I could hear water dripping in the sink, so I turned the faucet tighter and plugged some juice. As I headed towards the living room, the water started to tap again. Uh-oh. I flicked the light on and realized it wasn't coming from the sink, or anywhere in the room for that matter. It sounded like it was coming from further away. I looked out into the garden, could just about see a fuzzy, tall silhouette leaning up against the back fence in the dark. Actually, tapping sounded more like clicking. The figure slowly moved away from the fence and clicked across the grass towards us.
That's the end.
That's the end. That was good. That was solid.
I think it's interesting. I was going to say there's so many stories out there that I feel like are just a person who's like understands what it takes to just make something kind of spooky, right? I do like these stories. Every time we read one of these kind of stories where it's like a really fun little spooky hook, because that's, it is what it is. It really doesn't give you anything besides being like it was pale, blah, blah, blah. But you almost like, these are the stories where I'm like, fuck, I wish this was like the length of, a Baraska or like something kind of long where you could get into these characters and have these kind of like big swinging moments and stuff. Do you think that those can exist in the same realm of like some of the other like longer stories we read? I feel like whenever we read a longer story, it becomes a character drama, which you have to have a character drama for the length of things and develop characters and have payoffs and all that kind of stuff. But do you think that would it just have to be basically like a series of vignettes between these, like, a series of spooky vignettes that happen in between all of these character developments and stuff?
Wait, ask that question one more time.
Basically, what I'm saying is, sorry if I'm saying it weird. I guess what I'm saying is that these stories, there's so many stories where it's like a shorter story like this, where it's punchy, probably because the person had an idea of like, hey, you're out in the woods, you don't know what it is, and this thing chases you. Even if it's something like that, and you kind of like, you branch off on that. Whenever we read something like Baraska or something, or, even like Stolen Tongues. Stolen Tongues is probably the closest thing to this in the realm of like, on a longer story, you have to have things where there's conflicts with characters. There's arcs to a character. A character starts here and it goes, and the character is fundamentally changed by the end of the story. But I don't think that we ever get like these like big pounding moments. I mean, not always. Like I said, Stolen Tongues has its moments as well. But I guess like you have to sacrifice one for the other. Like can you have these big, exciting, fun chasing moments? Or in these longer stories, or is it because that it's so ambiguous that it becomes something like when it's short, it can be ambiguous and quick. And because of that, it takes on whatever scary things in your mind, because there really is no description. In Stolen Tongues, it's very descriptive, right? In these longer stories, the more that you're with it, the more that the character is going to see it. To have it just be this long drawn out story would be not silly, but it would just be like you'd want to like it's a payoff. Like you want to see the monster, you want to know what it is, all that kind of stuff. But the shorter ones have the advantage of it being this kind of like, I think
it's far more common to get these punchy, powerful moments out of short stories. Yeah. And this isn't a discredit to shorter stories. But it's because you can build a story around the punch in a short form, right? You can have like, because I mean, man, you want to talk about a punch, the light dangling above the tent and then coming back to see the food, like you into can tell the tent all time. incredible. Yeah.
You can tell that moment because that's how you can tell too, for people that are like, I guess, trying to like get into writing and stuff. Cause we've been seeing a lot of people writing on this new subreddit we have called Tales from the Creeps, which is all of it's like a new subreddit that we're doing. That's just all stories. And it's awesome. But I see a lot of people asking like, I just don't know how I'm supposed to get into it. I would say all of these start with like that moment is probably the first thing that was the hook where the person was like, oh, that's fun. And then they build a story around that, which is why you have some things, which it's fine for short stories, having stuff that's like, yeah, the kid, he's fucking obsessed with the juice thing. And there's like an over excessive amount of like, from 9:22, I do this. From 9:30, I did it. Like whatever. These are just like filler things that you could tell the person just like maybe just didn't care about as much. And they're just like, get me to that part that I want to do. Or you're building backwards, you set it up and you build backwards and then forward. You're kind of just building the entire story around this thing, which is the fun point. But, like you're saying, that doesn't discredit the short stories because it's the same thing of like critiquing a short film the same way that you would critique a feature length film. They're just two different things, like that's they're objectively different, even though they're still telling stories. They're just fundamentally doing a different thing. They have a different purpose. But I just think that's kind of interesting because it's just you really get nothing out of these characters. There's really no kind of arc. It's just a fun, spooky, like rip off the Band-Aid kind of thing. And I feel like we get these a lot, but I don't know why. It just kind of hit me where it's like, I wonder, like, it's nice as a palate cleanser, but I do wonder if there's something where it's like, is there something more to the story? How ambiguous can you be through these stories versus just focusing solely on character? Like you can't just go through a whole story and not give away the creature, right? Am I wrong? I guess that's kind of what I want. Have you ever read a story where it's like I want to say feature length because I'm thinking of film, but I guess I mean like a full narrative book where you just don't even see the thing. Like it's just kind of ambiguous and in the shadows.
The Whistlers.
I guess that's true. The Whistlers.
That was really long and they never revealed what they look like. There was the dog thing that it turned out was the thing hunting them, but the greater Whistler that was using humans as bait to hunt that thing. We never see what that looks like.
I guess that's true. And I think
like the description we get of this monster where it's like it folds itself up to be smaller, but we don't get any more than that. Like it's a giant white lanky thing, but that's all the description.
I don't know if you felt the same. Whenever they said that it was large and white, it made me think of the moth from that story where the guy has sex with like the giant moth mother.
I thought of Long Course.
Oh, is that what you? Okay. Yeah. I think as soon as I heard like large white, I just thought of like a giant pillow body, which kind of fucked me up of like this giant insect. I was kind of hoping in the story that the creature would hold onto the light and it would be like moving through the forest, almost like it's like a giant lightning bug or whatever, just like floating through the forest and like, like just that shadow play is so fun. And picturing that, you're like, oh fuck, it's almost like a spirit. Because then it takes on a new form where it's like, yeah, it's a monster, but now it almost feels like a ghost or something floating through this forest. It was a lot of fun. I think that like, once again, it's fun whenever these stories are on the shorter side that have like a fun hook to them versus it really sucks when we read a story and it's like 6 hours long and you're like, what the fuck even? Like there's no it's certainly punchy.
I will say, I think it's more impressive when someone can have that level of, I guess, quality or punchiness and they do it for longer. I think that's more of a feat.
It is.
The first example that comes to mind is Pen Pal.
Yeah.
Because Pen Pal had several little vignettes like that all connected and each one was like strong, hitting, satisfying. I feel like that's more impressive, but that's not to say like the setting of the lantern, the tin and stuff like that wasn't incredible. Wasn't worth the story. Didn't work so well, flow so well together.
The difference and the reason why it's so satisfying is because Pen Pal is all about character. you have to have strong characters. Like you care about the characters. These I could care less. Like I really don't.
Sure.
There's nothing.
But at the same time, the like the moments in Pen Pal, those individual punches I think worked on their own. Like the scene of the raft going down the river and her getting hit by the car outside of the theater and stuff like that. They just work so much better because we do care about the characters.
Exactly. I think that they do. They are their own, and you could have them be their own, but it's just so much more effective when you're rooting for this character. Like you're with them. You're like, you want to see where this is going. You establish a relationship with them. But then I think that's also just writing something that's real. It's understanding that like this character is changing. Things are unfolding. That's just so hard. It's a very hard thing to do. So whenever you do come across stories that kind of like move you in that way, it's almost always because the author is writing good characters. That's the backbone, in my opinion, of, I mean, just story in general is conflict in characters and stuff. So these are nice too, though. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I love the like peel the Band-Aid off kind of stories like this, where it's just like, I don't fucking know. It's a stupid kid who likes juice. Let me get you to where I want to get you. I think is a fun way too. So I think it's just the reason I want to say it too is just people who are writing this or going to things differently. It's like, it's not that like one diminishes the other. It's just a completely different approach. You know, and that you shouldn't look at it like, well, I have to have X, Y, and Z. It's like sometimes it's just nice to be on the ride. But that's our episode, guys. We appreciate you. Thank you for listening on our audio platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and give us a nice rating there. It helps. And consider signing up to our Patreon for bonus content. And if you just want to support the channel, we got some fun stuff planned for this year. And Isaiah is getting ready to be a dad. So if there is any kind of gap in the future,
I've actually never addressed that publicly before. So thanks for outing me.
Yeah, you have.
I have not.
Oh, well, we can edit it out.
No. This is a good way for it to announce you.
Okay, well,
everyone, there was it out there completely.
Sorry. Well, I thought that it was public knowledge. I apologize.
No, Kayla has mentioned it.
Oh, okay. We can still edit.
No, I think that's a perfect way to just leave it at the end of an episode with you without consulting me, bringing it out loud. I think that's a good.
Alrighty. Well. His wife's getting ready to shit out a baby here pretty soon.
And you, gross. Oh my god.
Shit out a baby. Isaiah is going to be in dad mode for a while as well. So this year is going to be very, it's just interesting. I'm very excited for you guys, and also excited just to see how this channel, it just explores that new feat in your life and stuff. I'm just curious. I'm curious to see how it changes you and see how maybe even you look at stories differently or something, just from the perspective of being a new dad. You know what I mean?
I'm about to reread The Road, which, the core thing of that's like a father and son. So I'm about to reread that, and I fully expect it to put me into a coma. So,
are you going to read is it the gift I got you, that one? You going to dive into that one?
Yes. Actually, I will say, so as much as I make fun of Hunter, hold on, let me show this off. Hunter sent me, this is an incredible gift, for Christmas, a first edition copy of The Road, like in the original 80s publication title, with Cormac McCarthy's signature, who is not only my favorite author, but he has now passed away. So this is an incredible gift, very incredible gift. So I appreciate it very much. When you go to the front, where it says also by Cormac McCarthy, if you look at any modern publication, it's his whole bibliography. But since this was published then, it stops at The Orchard Keeper, because that was the most recent thing he did before The Road. So this is spectacular. So Hunter did quite well. I appreciate that very much.
It's his favorite book. It's the thing that got him into reading. I listen.
Well, that's actually very impressive. It's very impressive. I appreciate that.
Of course. But also, I think that this year too, it'd be interesting to see if we could we tried last year, to the best of our ability, to try to get in and read published work. I know there's kind of a weird debate of people online that are like, well, I want them to check out published works, or people are like, oh, just stick to the online internet stories. We're going to try whatever. You know what I mean? I think some people don't know what they want until they actually get it. But there's things where we would like to read some longer stories, just because we've been reading creepypastas for so long, and these internet horror stories, that it would be cool to kind of get a big longer chunk of something recorded. So that's in the future. The only reason I say that too is that just, new episode or new year, new episode kind of thing. Just thinking about it. So if you have any suggestions below, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, stay beautiful. You guys are the best fan base on earth, and we appreciate you. So thank you so much, guys. We will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Stay creep. That was just a really good story. And then watch Goosebumps. And, funny mention. What did I get Hunter for Christmas? Absolutely nothing, because I'm a great friend. Yep. So, all right, yeah. Yeah, all right, bye.